Hello, welcome to Rise and Shine with Alissa. I am your hostess, the consultress, bringing you amazing conversations with interesting people that help you inform your thinking for the age of disruption. We are no longer anywhere living in the times of normal, and everything gets to be new and under review. So I have the pleasure and privilege of having some amazing conversations because I'm in business and because I live life full out. So I get to bring some of my trusted relationships and people who are doing other amazing things in the world. Here with me today, I have the one and only Neil Peterson of Desert Solitude. Welcome to Rise and Shine, Neil.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Heck yeah. So we're going to dive right in. I had a really transformational experience with Neil's company, Desert Solitude. My mom and I wanted a bespoke adventure, not necessarily doing the same old touristy stuff that everybody else does when they go out to see those red rocks you see behind him. So Desert Solitude was our answer to an amazing life experience. So thank you, Neil, for showing us the desert. The picture behind you, um, it, he said it was a campsite. And when we pulled up, I said, this is not a campsite. I expected parking stalls and hookups and a bathroom shower building. But that is not what the experience was that we had.
Nope.
Neil, why did you pick this spot and tell us a little bit about what Desert Solitude is?
Why did we pick this spot? So the whole reason that I do what I do is because I felt like when people travel, they want an authentic experience. And here in Utah, I could not find anyone who was offering the same type of experience that we as locals have when we go camping in our Red Rock wilderness. Um, this spot that we're at right here, I will not tell you where it is because it's hard to find spots that are this secluded anymore, that are this gorgeous, because there's a lot of people out enjoying the nature, which is awesome. But when you want to enjoy it by yourself, you got to try really hard to find the right places. So this is a spot that we love, just outside of the Moab area near Arches National Park, and it's just secluded. It's gorgeous. It's got good access. It's a great spot. If we were to turn this all around, you see a huge open valley. We're kind of nestled against the rocks. We've got this big valley all to ourselves. And if there was anybody in the same valley, they're kind of around a corner or in a different nook, and you don't even know they're there, which is really great. So that's the answer to the spot, and that's the answer to why do we do what we do. It's because we wanted to provide an experience to everyone else that's the same as what I'm doing with my family on a weekend, right?
Yeah,
So
and Neil's not just doing any old regular average Joe activity stuff with his family. And this
that's
I came
true.
to experience, you're an adventure dude. That
Yeah.
was part of the experience for me. That was really amazing. Now, as an entrepreneur, I'm always looking for unique value and delivering that value in a way that people feel cared for and really paid attention to. Dude, he picked us up from our hotel to bring us out to this grand adventure, cooked us lunch on a barbecue grill staring at arches in the park, and then drives us out to the middle of nowhere to have this amazing scenery. So, you're not just a guy providing experiences, like this authentic adventurousness, like that's part of the fabric of who you are that I came to know. So that's adventure. Like if you're looking for not only just like off the beaten path luxury, yay, you can, and the adventurousness that you create in your experiences, I think is part of like the best value. So what are some of the adventurous things that you've done with some guests that you bring out?
I love that you bring that up because most of our customers that come, and I guess we really didn't say what we were actually doing. What we were actually doing is national park tours, but instead of staying in a hotel, you're staying in RV lodging that we provide for you. We handle all the logistics, so you don't have to do anything besides show up with your suitcase, and we take care of everything else, all the gear that you need, the camp chairs, the campfire. Like you don't have to lift a finger. Um, so that's what we're doing. Most of our guests come with us because they are looking for a national park tour. And in my opinion, most national park tourists um, tend to play things a little bit safe, right? They stick to the pavement, they stick to the assigned trails, and they're there to see the beautiful stuff. And that is all fantastic. I think our secret sauce is that after we have a day in the parks, or even on our way to something, in one of the between the parks, we might take a little detour and that's where you get the off the beaten track experiences where maybe we throw in some adventure. We do some what I call mild off-roading or dirt roading, but for people who've never been off pavement before, it can be pretty. It can feel pretty extreme when you get the
Yeah.
vehicle tipping just a little bit. They're like can't handle it. Um, but what I've found is that those people that come for the national parks, and then we throw in this secret sauce of this adventurous side and seeing these things that most tourists would never see. A lot of times they like that part better than the national park part that they came for, which I absolutely love. I had one lady come on a trip with us. She brought her husband and a daughter, grown daughter, and we got rained out. We didn't get rained out. We had rain, and in Utah, rain passes. So I was waiting for this time to pass, and I took us into some sand dunes. And because the sand was wet, we could drive our full size luxury SUV out on the sand dunes. And so we're driving on the sand dunes like a roller coaster. And and this woman that was with me she said, "Gosh, you got to put this in your brochure or on your website that you do stuff like this. It's so fun." And I said, "No, I don't, because your personality, tell me if I'm wrong, your personality, if I would have put a picture of us doing this on my website, you would have not have booked with me because it's too scary." And she's like, "Oh, yeah, you're right." So that's why we kind of keep it as a secret sauce. We throw it in, and I also, you gauge the crowd, right? Like there's some people that really don't like it, don't want to go do some of that stuff, and we just go a different route. We see some stuff that's a little more chill. Um, but I do love taking people who have never really experienced that level of adventure and giving them just a taste of what I do on the weekends. Because what I do on the weekends is way more extreme.
Yeah.
But to
And
give them
that's
just a
where we're
little bit,
going.
yeah.
I
But to give
want
them
to
just a little
know,
bit is fun.
what it is that you consider fun.
Okay, so I don't. I mean, there's so much, but like just last weekend, I took some friends and my daughter, and we went and did an event called the Green River Dirt Bike Rally, and this is it's basically about 300 people and dirt bikes that come together, and they sign up for these guided trail rides. And there's this area around Green River, Utah that has, I mean, I think they picked something like probably 20, 30 different trails, and you can sign up for them over the couple of days and go do these guided rides as a group. And so we're out riding some train, kind of like the train you see behind me, red rocks and ledges and stuff on our dirt bikes, and it's just a lot of fun. You're out with friends. The trips we were doing were pretty, again, kind of on the tamer end because my daughter's a new rider, beginner rider. Um, but in this same area, just a few weeks ago, we call it our motorcycle man only trip, where we take just the guys and we go ride hard for 2 days. And so we did that in the same area, and it's gorgeous scenery for one. Like if you're into scenery, you like the nature aspect, you're getting all that, but then you're also getting the thrill of almost motorbike racing, because you really have to be. This is one of the things I love about the adventure is you have to be fully present in the moment, because if you're not, you'll die. Like
Oh my
we're
God, yes.
we're riding dirt bikes across boulders and ledges next to 100-foot, 200-foot cliffs, right? And if you get off even 3 or 4 feet, like it's game over, right? And
Hmm.
so anyhow, I make it sound probably a little too extreme, but
But this is what I'm saying. Like you're pushing people's edges from where they are in their comfort zone into their next level of excitement and adventure because
right.
you have the full scope. Like you embody the full scope of adventure to bespoke and taken care of. Like if you move a little bit to your left, I think, well, that's you back there. This is a picture that I took from our time together. They had a hammock set up. They cooked us dinner every night. They had meals ready for us and chocolate mints on our freaking pillows. It felt like we were like queens on an island, honestly. And so that level of care doesn't usually come partnered next with like rugged adventurism, especially for
Yeah.
people who need to be led into it. Because, before we got on this call, I showed my favorite moment from the trip that we had. And it's like, us in a Cadillac SUV or an Escalade, sorry. And Neil's talking like, it's no big deal. My mom's in the front seat and here's this rock wall. He goes, "So what do you think? Which way are we going to go?" And she's going, wait, what? And we climbed this freaking rock wall and like we were on a four-wheeler. It was amazing. And it was pushing the edge just a little bit, but mom was seat belted, except for the time that we went down the canyon and she wasn't seat belted.
I don't remember that. When did she go? When was
Oh,
she
when
not
we were
healthy?
driving down that canyon and we got down to the bottom when we weren't going super, super slow, and she's all, please be safe and all this. And we start going up to speed and it goes bing, bing. And she
Oh,
doesn't
so you
have
were
her
going
seatbelt
slow enough
on.
that the alarm wasn't going off because she. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yep. And
Yeah.
he looks up, goes, you kidding me? It was, but again, pushing the edge of our adventure comfort zone was part of the thrill of being cared for, because we also felt very safe. We felt like nothing could happen because we had the experts by our side. We felt like we weren't going to starve sleeping in the desert, because hey, we have, you know, 5-star meals being cooked for us over the campfire, or coming out from the flat iron grill that you bring with you. You know, there's just so much detail and attention and like love that gets poured into your business, from like how you take care of your family and also pushing that adventure edge. So I really found your tours to be that balance between, you know, luxury and rugged.
And that's great to hear you say that, because that's the tagline I've always used: is it's the we strive for the perfect blend of ruggedness and luxury, and we try to do that through all that we do. The vehicle that we have, the SUV that we're talking about, is a perfect example. I took the biggest, most comfortable SUV I could find, and then I lifted it, put a lift kit on it, bigger off-road tires, smaller wheels so you can air down the tire better, off-road bumpers, winches, roof rack, lights, and did all the things to make it as rugged as possible while still being as luxurious as possible. And to be honest, it is the nicest, most comfortable off-road vehicle I've ever owned. Um, and it's so great. Like, that thing is so smooth on the dirt, it feels like pavement. So I've always loved that vehicle for that reason, even though it's not as capable as other vehicles I've had, because it wasn't designed to be, right. Like, it's designed to be comfortable and do a, you know, a certain level of off-roading that that most people can tolerate, right. It doesn't need to do the extreme stuff.
Right on. And then you have dirt bikes and four-wheelers for that. I won't
Right.
let you go on your side-by-side tangent. We don't have time for that. But
Apparently
yeah.
you did get to know me while we were together.
And that's part of the beauty of, you know, running these tours, is that it's a individualized experience. And I really am a big fan and a big advocate of how you go about taking care of people. So you said you do this because this is what you do for your family. How did this company kind of come about for you?
Yeah, really. For years, I was doing, you know, just trips, like I said, with my family, and we take other friends along, to kind of, people that say they'd want to come with us, they want to come see the things we're doing, so we'd bring them along. And I had several friends over the years say, "Hey, you should be a tour guide. You should do this for other people for a living." And I couldn't ever quite wrap my head around how that would work. Mostly with the numbers, right? Like, it just didn't seem like there'd be enough money in it. But I think that's because my scope was limited to other people who lived in Utah. But once I opened my scope and realized, oh, there's people coming to Utah to see the national parks. They're coming from, you know, the far reaches of the country or out of country. And those people are willing to spend a bit more for experience like this that they just cannot have on their own. There's no way they can come. You can't come from Europe and have the experience that we're providing on your own. You just can't. You can't get all the equipment. You don't know where to camp, you know, all the things. So once I realized that there could be a customer with I guess a bigger budget, then I was like, oh, maybe this could actually work. And so that's when I started kind of putting the ideas with it and realizing the national parks was the biggest draw. So we decided to focus around the national parks, just because that's the big tourist draw, and then kind of adding our own local flavor to it. But it really just came down to several people saying, "Hey, you should do this," and then one of them kind of pushed me hard enough to say, "No, you really could make a business of it." And then I started looking at it, and here we are. In fact,
Yeah.
it was a motorcycle man dirt bike trip that it actually pushed me across the line to really think about it. So with some guys on that trip that said, you gotta come be doing this for other people." So
Yeah. And again, because it's so curated, like if my mother and I were to rent an RV, figure out how to trailer it out to the desert where there was not a campsite, but pick a camp spot, and then try to assemble all of the materials to create the types of meals that we were having, to even have things like a hammock and cornhole set up for us to just lounge in and take care of. And you know, you even had a setup where we could like sleep basically outside with a screen wall coming down. And there's again, if I were to tally up all the things we would have needed to purchase, rent, or research, it would have taken us 100 hours and probably $100,000, to be honest, to get all of the different pieces that you have compiled and put together. Your rig alone that allowed us to see the Thelma and Louise point where they drove off into oblivion. Again, no, there's no way that, all of the researching and time, I mean, I might have been able to get 1/10 of the way to the experience that you created, and I probably would have had to spend, you know, at least triple what we paid you to be able to have that experience. Plus, we got the joy of just sitting back and relaxing. So, like, not for the people who want DIY. If you want to DIY, go for it. But for people who want that, experience that they can have at home. Like when I bring people to my home, I take care of them. I make them, well, my husband makes them meals, and we make sure that they're comfortable and they get to see cool things. But I can only do that where I live. I can't do that planning a vacation unless I hire a travel agent or I am like making this my full-time job for a year to try to figure it out. That's the
Right.
value and the benefit I felt of like the service and the experience that you're providing.
Yep. Yep, for sure. And I had a similar experience as you. This last August, I went on a trip to Iceland with a company called Iceland X, and they did a 9 day off-road backcountry tour of Iceland for us. And it's the same thing. Like the number of places we went, and the middle of nowhere, like, do you go left, straight, or right? Like questions, like just figuring out which way to turn when you're in the middle of nowhere with no road signs on a dirt road. That just those little pieces, you could sit there for 30 minutes with your map trying to figure out which way to go. But having a great guide, I had the same experience as you, because our guide was just fantastic and provided everything for us. So, and you mentioned all the things that you talked about. If you took a year and $100,000 to get ready for this trip, you could do all that work and try to come to the same spot that you see us right here at, and not know that 100 feet before this spot, there's about a 24-inch lip that's all sand. And if you try to get to that spot in a rented two-wheel drive RV, like you would get from Cruise America, you would be stuck right there with no cell service, and I don't know, a 2-hour walk back to the pavement. And there's just nothing you can do about that. So most people won't even come, even if they do it on their own, they won't come to this kind of a spot because of that kind of a risk. Uh, and while there might be some risks like that we take with maybe having a malfunction of equipment or something, help for me is, at worst case, is 3.5 hours away. And there's some dirt roads and trails that we do. They're so remote that we might not see other cars on. That I will send a message to some buddies back home and say, hey, I'm starting this road. We're going in a counterclockwise direction. If I haven't messaged you back within 4.5 hours, come find me. And they know that if I don't message them back in 4.5 hours, because it should only take me 3, then they're coming. They're going to come and find me, and we will get found that night, right? Which it's maybe uncomfortable and long, but there's that level of security because I got local buddies here, right? And I don't even have that when I travel somewhere else, but it's something that's a security that I can provide my guests because I live here. So,
Yeah, the community really does make the whole difference. When you talk about navigating unknown territory, isn't it cool to know that you've already been down that path and that you've already seen some of the pitfalls and you're prepared for it? So we're not exempt from peril, but we are prepared to be able to minimize that peril and to, you know, do it, live to see another day, do it again better the next time. I see this same thing in entrepreneurship. When people try to DIY themselves to success, there's an upper limit there when you try to take everything on and do it yourself, because in the middle of trying to do it yourself, you're captured by your own limitations of thinking, your own limitations of your skill sets, where you have mastery and where you have failures, or where you have gaps in your knowledge experience. And so this is exactly what you're talking about, in the physical realm, taking people through an experience, and you're mitigating their risk because of the community that you have and the resources you have access to and the level of experience and knowledge that you have. Like, this is the same, like, I'm mapping it over, but it applies into, hiring a coach or a business consultant to help you steer your business. And this is what I've seen time and time again. Like, you always hire the people who have done what you've done or have seen the road that you want to travel, so that they can share with you those mile markers. They can to help you navigate around things that otherwise would be hard stops or pack it in and go home. I'm now working with one of the best in the business to build my business for scale, because I've already scaled as much as I can up until this point. And now I see what I want, and I want to pay somebody who's already been down that road to help shorten my learning curve. I don't want to spend 3 to 10 times the investment amount to skin my knees because I toughed it out and did it myself. I don't want to fall down and have to redo my brand 6, 7 times because I got it wrong. I want to make sure that I'm mitigating those risks by bringing people on that have connections, community, and resources and know-how to help me get where I'm going. Right.
Hmm.
So, hiring the expert is like the topic of conversation here is know who you're doing business with and why you're doing business with them.
Now, there's so many
Um,
parallels to what you just said about hiring people in business versus also hiring a quality guide, right? And I think the big risk in that, the big concern with for especially for someone who's DIY, right, who wants to go it alone, when you think about trying to hire somebody as a guide or hire somebody as a business consultant, the biggest question is it worth it? Like, what am I actually going to get? Am I going to get a return out of this? Is it actually going to be better? Because let's be honest, there are people out there in business who will offer you assistance and marketing and advice that suck, right? And there are also tour guides out there who say, "Oh yeah, we know the area," but it's their third time there, and they're just following the route that their boss gave them on some paper map or something, staying on the pavement. And it's a different kind of experience. And so the question becomes, how do you find and how do you vet that person in your life? And I don't have the answer to that question, but it is a hard question, of how do you find the right person. So
I'm going to just bring that right back to where we started just before on community. Like, when you surround yourself with quality people who've used other quality people who've already gotten results, it's easier to make that connection. But when you're Googling somebody or your fingers are walking the yellow pages, if you're that old, I just got a yellow pages delivered to my house last week. Anyway, but having that community around you where there's accountability and there's a little bit of consistency of contact, those are the things that allow you to build the right relationships. So, like,
mhm.
if I've never hired a tour guide, I would probably ask a few people around, where have you gone? Have you ever hired one? And who do you know who has? Because to me, the relationships run the world, and I want to hear people's firsthand experiences so that I can make informed decisions, not just how good can they build a web page. If you look at my web page, it's very boilerplate. But if you look in my community, I consistently get leads and introductions because people have had exposure and experience to me with me over time. And they know that when I say what I do and then I do what I said, that creates that level of trust and accountability where I'm not going anywhere and I'm not running. So when we find in business there's something that we need, one of my first, so in my business, I have this thing called the simple framework that allows people to look through their structure of their business, like the strategy, the ideal situations, the marketing, all those mechanics pieces, but also the who they're being in business and who do they want to attract in their business, like partnerships and who they show up as, their leadership, and what types of quality relationships do they want to do business with. And that empowerment piece is all about who are you being. So in business, we kind of get a little turned around sometimes looking at the mechanics and the what's, and we forget that there is an entire other piece of the puzzle, which, in this little demonstration is half, but it's kind of like the iceberg, right? We see the mechanics, which is the top 10% that's above the water, and the who you're being and how you create community and connections is really the 90%, the meaning that helps you to make better decisions, to get the right resources around you. Like, that's the only way that I've successfully built business over the last 12 years is
Yeah.
by connecting with people and then vetting them. Who do you know? Who have you worked with? But like, you always have to ask those questions. How long you been doing this? I'm not
Me?
hiring somebody who's
Oh,
only been doing it for 60 days, you
right,
know?
right, 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 right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a lot of parallels in that analogy between guides and professionals, and yeah, I think you're right about community. We get, as business owners, we get spammed and targeted all the time because once your phone number, your email's out there, it just comes from all the directions. but it's always these mechanics things that you're talking about. You're advertising your website, your business cards, whatever, like get your name out there. But it's all people that want your money. But that's what we're hearing about. But really, what you're talking about is kind of like the free avenue where you turn around and you start networking, and it's an investment of time instead of an investment of money. Um, but your experience and what's starting to be mine is that is where the better value is in the networking and the relationships. So yeah.
Amen, dude. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. And at the end of the day, we have become a society that is like instant gratification, scrolling, doom scrolling, instant. And so advertising has got its hooks in us, and we don't even know it in a lot of ways. So therefore, being targeted. I see the same clothing advertisement when I'm scrolling Facebook or Instagram. I see the same couple of people that show up on my feed because I'm being marketed to. People are paying for my attention. And so when you build relationships, even in this, digital world where a lot of things are now virtual, like meetings like this, getting to know people and having the ability to consistently show up and have dialogue, have conversations, like, to me, that's the way business is going, because we've been kind of made numb by the instant gratification that, technology and the ease of access of information has kind of created. So when you talk about investing your time, not necessarily your money, it can be as simple as, who do I want to have around me and how consistently do I want to do that? It's a piece of my business that I'm building right now, is teaching people how to host private events so that they can curate and create that consistent community. Curate, create, consistent community. Wow. Alliteration apparently is my friend. But that is, for your experience, Neil, I know you've been to a few of those events. How are you finding my curated private network meetings?
Really good. There's been a couple of individuals in the meetings that we've even stepped out and had one-on-one conversations with later, and those have been really valuable when you're in this group of people and you find the one you're like, okay, they can tell that there's could be a connection here, and then you take that to the side and kind of explore that relationship. That's been really good. Um, on top of that, the meetings that you've been hosting have been so great because you've got well, I don't know if everyone knows here, but the ones that you're doing that I'm in is an all men business owners, which is actually kind of nice. Um, that someone is doing stuff just for men. So thank you.
You're welcome.
uh, but in that group, you've got all different kinds of industries, all different kind of stages. You've got guys that are barely starting out. They're like figuring out how to take step one, and then you've got guys that have done all the steps, sold it, made their who knows how much, money, and now we're like the world is all available to me. What should I do now? Like I've got so many options, I don't know what to choose. And that's a very different position than the guy who's starting out trying to find his first customer. And so it's been really great to just be part of their journeys as well. And I try to share the bits of advice that I can with them, even though their industries are very different. Sometimes the principles, the thought processes, the motivations are the same, even though the work is so totally different. But it has been um, really enjoyable. Both it's been productive as from a business standpoint, and just on a personal level, it's just nice to be in a room, but around some other people who are having the same questions and the same struggles that you are. It's nice to have that camaraderie. So thank you.
Yeah, and you're welcome. And I appreciate that you're creating camaraderie, right? So you have somebody in there who is got a business that can inform some of the decisions you've made, who has access to other people, other businesses that they've had experience and exposure to, right? So the taking the conversations offline and putting your heads together. It's so nice that I got to meet you 3 or 4 months in a row consistently, and we're all coming to the table personally and professionally. What do you think about this? And now you're creating a room full of trusted advisors that you're all sharing your specific experience with one another. And you're also being of value and service. So, like, as you're there to get questions answered, here's where I'm stuck, or here's what I need right now, and people are feeding that inquiry, you're in there doing the same thing too. So, you kind of leave that room, correct me if I'm wrong, feeling like you did more than just put a hand out. you went there and you did the work and you met some people, and those relationships are that community we keep talking about of what makes the rubber meet the road. Hey, who do you know who does, digital marketing? Because I feel like I got ripped off. Somebody marketed to me and I gave them a
Mhm.
bunch of money and I got zero ROI for it. Did I not ask the right questions going in? Or what do I need to ask next time? And how can I actually measure the results? Someone who's informed in that business will be able to help you reverse engineer that inquiry rather so than, I don't know what I need. Apparently, this person who's selling to me must, and I got to trust them, right? So if you don't already know them, try to find someone who's experienced them. But that community piece, man, it's like I've come to a place in my life where I realize like that is my purpose. It's so strange because I've been hosting these types of meetings for over a decade, but for my own personal transformations, like when I decided to pivot my consulting practice into real estate, who's done what what I want to do, and who do I want to surround myself with so that I can build. And the last 5 years have been that for me. But again, like if I didn't have the people around me that could inform my decision, I felt like a fish out of water. So I appreciate that. Not everybody wants to know the people they're doing business with, but it mitigates quite a bit of results risk in the way you go about it.
Yeah, totally does. Totally does.
Yeah. So we are now down our philosophical rabbit holes that I do love to travel down in terms of thinking differently and pivoting ourselves into, doing business in today's day and age has less to do with, you know, advertising and more to do with connection. And that's the way the world is moving. So, tours like Neil's are the way the world is moving. Services like mine and creating community, either online or in person, like that's the way the world is moving because human connection in the age of AI is the only thing that we really have left. And if we invest in it, it can be very exponential in terms of its results. So I had exponential results having attended your tour and been had a wonderful experience and more than I believed was possible. Great time with my mother that I never thought I would have. So I want to thank you for that.
Your mother was so great. So she was so
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, and she was great because of the environment that was created too. Like they went hand in hand, and you made a place for us to have a really good experience together. Which, when I go to her environments or when she comes to mine, is not always the case. But so, really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Oh, good.
And where can people find you? Because I know you're a diamond in the rough right now, but I'm here to give some shine to you and your business and your tours and things that you're putting on. So, where would you like people to come and connect with you?
Yeah, I appreciate that. With our business model and the product that we do being so unique, no one's even searching for it. So we don't even have any competitors for what we're doing because no one else is doing this. So no one knows to search for it.
Mm.
So I appreciate that. Our website, desertsolitude.com, is a great place to get all the nitty gritty details of all the tours and the things. Instagram with Desert Solitude Tours. So we get that right. So the website, desertsolitude.com, the Instagram handle, Desert Solitude Tours, is a great place to see a lot of content from our trips. We're a very content media heavy business because we try to be posting pictures and videos of what we're doing. Everything you'll see on our Instagram is all stuff that 90% of the time was recorded with my cell phone from my hand. It's all authentic. It's all legit. There's a lot of travel companies out there that are posting stuff that they're getting from online or other places that they're trying to sell you that they've never even been to. But when you're looking at our Instagram, that's what it looks like when you're standing there. So
Yeah, yeah, it is. I'm on there.
you are.
And my
Yep, you'll find
Cypress
us.
Hill t-shirt and everything.
Nice.
Yeah, right on. So again, I won't keep bragging, but definitely go check it out. And if you haven't invested in a quality experience out in the Red Rock, see Neil. And I want to thank you all for being here at Rise and Shine. We broadcast a new episode every single Monday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So please click like, subscribe, send this to a friend, know who needs to know about this stuff, and share the message because together we are better in community. So thanks a million for choosing to spend your time here with us. And until next time, friends, I'll see you next Monday, same bat time, same bat channel. See you later. Thanks, Neil.
Thanks, Alyssa.